Hi, my name's Tess Forman,
And my name's Tierney.
and for our favorite part of the brain project, we chose to do the amygdala. So first, where is the amygdala? As you can see in the picture on the right, the amygdala is located within the medial temporal lobes of the brain. That's just around the center of the brain. Similar to the hippocampus, the amygdala is a paired structure, which means there's one on each side of the brain, one in the right hemisphere and one in the left. The amygdala is also part of the limbic system. The limbic system is responsible for emotions, survival instincts, and memory.
Next is the anatomy of the amygdala. It is composed of a group of around 13 nuclei, which are subdivided into smaller complexes. The subdivisions include the basolateral complex, the cortical nuclei, and the medial nucleus. The basolateral complex is the largest of the subdivisions and is composed of the lateral nucleus, the basolateral nucleus, the accessory basal nucleus, and it has connections of the cerebral cortex, thalamus, and hippocampus. Both the cortical nuclei and the medial nuclei receive information from the olfactory system.
So next is a little bit about the pathway of the amygdala for stimulus traveling to the amygdala. The first step is we are exposed to a fearful stimulus within our environment. After that, information about the stimulus is immediately sent to the amygdala. The amygdala then sends signals to different areas of the brain, such as the hypothalamus, and these other parts of the brain then receive these signals and initiate our body's fight or flight response. Our heart rate, BP, and respiration then all increase in preparation for us to take action against the stimulus in our environment. So what does the amygdala do? The amygdala plays a lot of different roles within the brain's functions, but some of the main ones are that it allows you to feel certain emotions and to perceive these emotions in others. The amygdala also regulates our reactions to events that are important for our survival. It works in events that warn us of imminent danger because these events then stimulate the amygdala. It also works in events that signal presence of food, sexual partners, enemies, or children in distress, as these are all other events that are important for our survival. The amygdala also participates in a threat circuit that provides rapid assessment of a stimulus or situation that is possibly dangerous. The amygdala is also related to many psychological disorders. This is because it has a substantial role in our mental state. Some of these disorders include anxiety, autism, depression, PTSD, and phobias. In all of these disorders, there's an abnormal functioning of the amygdala. This can be caused either from damage, developmental problems, or a neurotransmitter imbalance. The amygdala is also heavily involved in the regulations of emotions of fear, anger, and aggression, and in trauma reactions. The amygdala controls the autonomic responses that are associated with fear, arousal, and emotional stimulation.
Throughout time, there have been many different studies done with the amygdala. One of the first indications of the importance of the amygdala to emotions was a study which involved the removal of both temporal lobes of rhesus monkeys. After the procedure, the monkeys that were previously burdensome were now tame and demonstrated less emotion. The monkeys approached snakes many times even after being attacked. Another study was done where deep lesioning was used to remove the amygdala of rats, and after that procedure, they were said to have no fear. They were even said to go as far as to snuggle with cats. The removal of the amygdala took away the rat's memory of fear, and therefore they could not feel it. Another study was done with humans that showed that when the amygdala is stimulated, it produces lustful feelings, sexual sensation, and mental memories of intercourse.
As you can see in the picture on the right, in the bottom row, the amygdala is active in interest/desire, desire/arousal, and inhibition in these patterns of coactivation within the brain. So next, this is a little bit about patient SM. Patient SM is a patient who experienced damage to both amygdalas as a result of a rare condition called Urbach-Wiethe disease. This condition influenced the way that patient SM viewed others' faces, and therefore affected their ability to identify the emotions on others' faces and how those people were feeling. Patient SM does not feel any fear. Even if patient SM was being held at knife point, because her amygdala had been destroyed, she would not have any fear. Her IQ is normal, her memory is good, and so are her language and perception skills, just not her ability to be able to identify emotions.
So next is just some fun facts about the amygdala. Each person actually has 2 amygdalae. You have one on each side of the brain, one in the right hemisphere and one in the left. The term amygdala comes from the Greek term for almond. The medial part of the female amygdala helps coordinate the endocrine system during pregnancy. The amygdala also plays a role in us enjoying the food we eat. We still don't know everything about the amygdala. The more that scientists find out about the amygdala, the more questions that they have about it. It works with many parts of the brain, and because of this, it is difficult to isolate the separate functions. It has been called the body's alarm circuit for fear. It may be involved in empathy as it works to help read others' emotions. Hyperactivity of the amygdala, or having one amygdala that is smaller than the other, has been associated with fear and anxiety disorders.
On the right, you can see a picture of another pathway of a stimulus being presented in the environment, causing fear, which then travels to the thalamus, then the visual cortex, and then to the amygdala, where it elicits our fight or flight response. So now we're going to talk a little bit about why we chose the amygdala for this project. So first, I chose this part because I started learning about it in AP Psychology my senior year of high school, which was a few years back. I found its role that it plays in our brain to be very interesting, especially with the emotion of fear. As we started to learn about it more this year in psychobiology, I found the amygdala so much more fascinating because as much as we know about it, there's still so many questions that are left to be answered. To me, that's crazy to think about. The fact that we are using our brain to think and try and understand why we think and understand the parts of our brain by using those parts of our brain to try to understand them. When this project came along, I immediately knew I wanted to cover the amygdala because it was such an interesting yet mysterious part of our own brain.
Personally, I chose the amygdala as my favorite brain part because I've always been interested in human emotions and where they originate from. Emotions are an extremely important part of who we are as people, and they determine how we live our lives. In class this semester, I was captivated when discussing how animal behavior was altered after receiving damage to their amygdala. The idea that how we act and what we feel is determined by a little section of our brain is bewildering to me.